My wife had a really bad bike wreck about a month ago and was unconscious for about 10 or 15 minutes. And pretty typical father-son relationship, and he was strict and hard and all those things, a whole lot of things that I didn't enjoy going through as a kid.
The country music world is in shock. Devastating news has just surfaced about Vince Gill, leaving fans heartbroken. He's faced hardships before, but this time the stakes are higher than ever. What's really going on, and how will it change everything for him? Stay with us as we uncover the truth behind this devastating news for Vince Gill. Vince Gill's rise to fame. The crowd cheered as Vince Gill stepped onto the stage, his guitar in hand. He was not yet a famous country star, but he knew this was where he belonged. Music had been a part of his life for as long as he could remember. It started in his childhood home in Norman, Oklahoma, where his father played the banjo and guitar. Vince watched and listened, learning every note. His father encouraged him to play, and soon Vince was mastering instruments like the guitar, banjo, fiddle, and mandolin. He was not just playing, he was feeling the music. As he grew older, Vince realized he wanted to do more than just play for family and friends. He wanted to share his music with the world. In high school, he joined a local band called Mountain Smoke. They played bluegrass music and quickly became popular in Oklahoma. People loved their sound, and Vince was at the heart of it. His talent stood out, and it became clear that he had something special. But Vince knew that staying in his hometown would not be enough. He needed to go where the music industry was bigger. So, in the mid-'70s, Vince took a big step and moved to Kentucky. He joined a well-known bluegrass band called Bluegrass Alliance. This was a new experience for him. He traveled, performed in different places, and played with some of the best musicians in bluegrass. He was learning, growing, and becoming even better. His name was starting to get noticed, and it wasn't long before a bigger opportunity came his way. In 1979, the country rock band Pure Prairie League was looking for a new lead singer and guitarist. Vince auditioned and got the job. He moved to California and started performing with the band. Their song, Let Me Love You Tonight, became a big hit, reaching the top 10 on the pop charts. For the first time, Vince heard his voice on the radio. He was now part of a successful band, performing in front of large crowds. But something was missing. Vince loved music, but he knew this was not the kind of music he truly wanted to make. His heart was in country music, where he could tell stories through his songs. In 1981, he made a difficult decision. He left Pure Prairie League and moved to Nashville, Tennessee, the center of country music. The move to Nashville was not easy. The city was full of talented musicians, all trying to make a name for themselves. Vince had to start from the bottom again. He played backup for other artists and worked as a session musician. He released a few solo albums, but they did not bring him the success he was hoping for. He kept working hard, writing songs and performing whenever he could. He knew that one day his chance would come. That chance finally came in 1989 when he signed with MCA Nashville. He released the album When I Call Your Name, and the title song became a huge success. It was a beautiful, emotional ballad that touched people's hearts. The song won him a Grammy Award and made him a star. After years of hard work, Vince Gill had finally found his place in country music. From that moment, his career took off. His songs topped the charts, his albums sold millions, and his voice became one of the most loved in country music. He had worked for years to get here, and now he was exactly where he had always wanted to be. But behind all the success and fame, what was the song that carried Vince Gill's deepest heartbreak? Come with us to know. The story behind Go Rest High on That Mountain. Vince Gill sat alone with his guitar, the melody of a song lingering in his mind. He had started writing it years ago, but something held him back. The emotions were too raw, the words too painful to put on paper. It was a song born from grief, but it remained unfinished. He didn't know it yet, but life was about to give him the missing piece. Back in 1989, country music lost a rising star. Keith Whitley, a talented singer with a voice full of emotion, had passed away at just 33. His struggles with alcoholism had caught up with him, leaving behind a wave of sorrow in the music world. Vince Gill, who had always admired Whitley's talent, was deeply shaken by his death. In the weeks that followed, he found himself picking up his guitar, trying to capture his grief in a song. He wrote the first few lines, but the rest just wouldn't come. Every time he tried, the emotions overwhelmed him. Frustrated, he set the song aside, unsure if he would ever finish it. For 4 years, the lyrics remained untouched. Vince continued making music, earning success in the country world, but deep down, that unfinished song was still with him. Then, in 1993, tragedy struck again, this time much closer to home. His older brother, Bob Gill, suffered a fatal heart attack. The pain of losing his brother reopened old wounds, reminding Vince of the grief he had felt for Whitley. But this time, something was different. Instead of pushing the emotions away, he picked up his guitar once more. The song that had once been too difficult to finish now flowed naturally. Every word carried the weight of his loss. Every note held the sorrow he couldn't express before. What had started as a tribute to Keith Whitley had now become something much more personal. A song about saying goodbye, about finding peace after a life filled with struggles. The words, "Go rest high on that mountain, son, your work on earth is done," were no longer just about Whitley. They were also for Bob. When it came time to record, Vince knew the song needed something special. He reached out to 2 country artists he deeply respected, Patty Loveless and Ricky Skaggs. Their harmonies added a haunting beauty to the song, making it even more powerful. When Go Rest High on That Mountain was released in 1995, no one expected it to be a major hit. It was the 6th single from his album, and ballads weren't always the biggest radio songs. But something incredible happened. The song connected with people in a way few others did. Fans who had lost loved ones found comfort in its lyrics. It became a song played at funerals, memorials, and moments of deep sorrow. Vince himself struggled to perform it without getting emotional. Each time he sang it, he thought of his brother, of Keith Whitley, and of all the people who had experienced loss. In 2013, Vince was asked to perform the song at country legend George Jones' funeral. As he stood on stage with Patty Loveless beside him, the weight of the moment was overwhelming. His voice broke, tears filled his eyes, and the audience watched as he poured his heart into every word. It was one of the most emotional performances of his career, a reminder of why this song meant so much. Over the years, Go Rest High on That Mountain became one of the most beloved songs in country music history. In 2023, it was certified platinum, marking over 1 million copies sold. But its true success wasn't in numbers. It was in the countless people who found comfort in its message, in the way it helped them grieve, and in the way it reminded them that love and memory never fade. Vince Gill never set out to write a song that would touch millions. He was simply a man trying to put his pain into words. But in doing so, he created something timeless. A song that will continue to bring peace, healing, and hope for generations to come. After pouring his heart into his most emotional song, how did Vince Gill find the courage to step out of the shadows? The answer lay in the risks he took and the passion that fueled his solo journey. From bands to solo star, Vince Gill had spent years playing in bands, lending his voice and guitar skills to others, but deep down, he always knew he wanted more. He wasn't just a musician, he was a storyteller. The melodies, the emotions, the stories behind the songs, he had them all inside him, waiting for the right moment to be heard. But stepping away from the safety of a band to stand on his own was no easy task. It required patience, determination, and an unshakable belief in his own music. For years, Vince had been part of groups where he blended in, contributing to the sound rather than leading it. He had performed as a lead singer with Pure Prairie League, played alongside some of the best musicians in Nashville, and backed up country legends. He was respected in the industry, known for his smooth voice and incredible guitar playing. But in those moments, he was always supporting someone else's vision. He had yet to carve out his own. Making the jump to a solo career wasn't an easy decision. The music industry was tough, and even though Vince had built a name for himself as a skilled musician, that didn't guarantee success as a solo artist. Many talented musicians had tried and failed. But Vince knew that if he wanted to share his own songs, ones that carried his personal stories and emotions, he had to take the risk. At first, it wasn't easy. As a solo artist, Vince had to start from the ground up. He had to prove himself not just as a great musician, but as a singer-songwriter who could carry an entire album on his own. The pressure was immense. There were moments of doubt, times when success seemed far away. But he kept going, pouring his heart into his music, refusing to give up. One of the biggest challenges was finding his own unique sound. While he had learned from some of the greatest musicians in the business, Vince didn't want to simply follow in their footsteps. He wanted to create something new, a blend of country, bluegrass, and rock influences that reflected his own musical journey. Then, the breakthrough came. His solo career started to gain traction, and his voice, full of warmth, honesty, and emotion, began reaching audiences in a way it never had before. People weren't just listening to his music, they were connecting with it. His lyrics spoke of love, loss, hope, and heartache, experiences that resonated with everyone. With each new song, he was no longer just a background musician. He was an artist standing in the spotlight, sharing his own stories. As he rose to solo stardom, Vince never forgot where he came from. The years spent playing in bands had shaped him, teaching him the value of collaboration and musicianship. But now he had found his own voice. And once he did, there was no turning back. As Vince stepped into the spotlight, what challenges did love bring that even music couldn't prepare him for? Let us tell you, love and struggles. Love is never a straight path. It twists, turns, and is often tested by life's hardest struggles. For Vince Gill, love was not just about happiness, but about resilience, sacrifice, and standing strong through life's challenges. He had felt the weight of loss, the joy of love, and the pain of heartache. Through it all, he never lost sight of what mattered most: the people he loved and the music that kept him going. Vince's journey through love was not simple. His first marriage to country singer Janice Oliver was once full of promise. They met early in their careers, forming a deep connection through music and building a life together with their daughter Jenny. But the pressures of fame, touring, and time apart took a toll on their marriage. As Vince's career soared, the distance between them grew, leading to their divorce in the late 1990s. The separation was painful, and Vince carried a deep sense of guilt, knowing his career had played a role in their struggles. It was during this difficult time that Vince met Amy Grant. They had first crossed paths years earlier, but now both of them were navigating their own personal struggles. Amy was also coming out of a marriage, and the two found comfort in their shared experiences. What started as a friendship gradually turned into something deeper. They understood each other in ways few others could. They had both lived lives in the public eye. Both had faced heartbreak, and both knew the importance of love and family. When Vince and Amy finally came together, it wasn't without challenges. They had to blend their families, a task that was not always easy. Amy had 3 children from her previous marriage, and Vince had Jenny. Creating a home where everyone felt loved and included took patience, compromise, and endless understanding. But they were committed to making it work. They knew that love wasn't just about grand gestures or perfect moments. It was about showing up day after day, through the good times and the bad. Through all of this, Vince turned to music to express what words couldn't. He wrote songs that reflected his journey, his heartbreak, his healing, and his love for Amy. One of his most touching songs, When My Amy Prays, was a tribute to her faith and the way it had inspired him. He sang about the way she prayed, about the belief she held, even when he struggled to find his own. It was a song of gratitude, of admiration, and of love that had been tested but never broken. Vince Gill has known the pain of heartbreak and the joy of second chances. But through it all, he has remained true to what matters most: his family, his music, and the deep, lasting love that continues to guide him forward. Just when Vince thought he had endured love's toughest trials, an unexpected tragedy struck, challenging him in ways he never imagined. Stay with us as we uncover the heartbreaking twist that changed everything for Vince Gill. Devastating news that changed everything. The stage lights dimmed and Vince Gill took a deep breath before stepping forward. Music had always been his refuge, his way of expressing emotions too deep for words. But on this night, as he strummed his guitar, his heart was heavier than ever. Life had tested him before, but nothing had prepared him for the devastating news that would change everything. Vince had always been known for his steady, unwavering spirit, but behind the scenes he had faced more battles than most could imagine. Over the years, health struggles had threatened to derail everything he had built, both in his career and personal life. Some were his own, and others belonged to the people he loved most, shaking him to his core. For years, Vince had quietly endured severe bouts of pain caused by a degenerative condition in his hands. The pain was relentless, making it difficult to play guitar, the very thing that had defined his career. He tried to push through, refusing to let it slow him down. But there were nights when the pain was so unbearable that even holding a guitar pick felt impossible. Fans watched him perform, unaware of the hidden struggle that haunted him every time he stepped on stage. In spite of his physical pain, Vince kept going. Music was his lifeline, and he was determined to keep playing for as long as he could. But just as he was coming to terms with his own struggles, life delivered another crushing blow. In the summer of 2022, his wife, Amy Grant, suffered a near-fatal bicycle accident. She had hit a pothole, been thrown from her bike, and lay unconscious for 10 minutes. When Vince received the news, his world seemed to stop. Amy was more than just his wife. She was his partner in everything. He had always been her protector, but now he felt helpless. The days after the accident were filled with uncertainty. Amy had suffered a traumatic brain injury, and her recovery was slow. She struggled with memory loss, exhaustion, and moments of confusion that terrified Vince. He canceled performances, set aside his own pain, and dedicated himself fully to her care. No stage, no award, no song mattered more than making sure she healed. Watching someone he loved fight through such a devastating injury changed Vince forever. He had always believed in the healing power of music, but now he saw the fragility of life in a new way. Every moment with Amy became more precious, every word unspoken now more urgent. The experience also forced Vince to face his own health battles. He had spent years putting his pain aside, convincing himself that he could keep going. But after nearly losing Amy, he realized that ignoring his own well-being wasn't an option anymore. He began seeking treatment for his condition, determined to continue doing what he loved without suffering in silence. Through it all, Vince leaned on the thing that had carried him through every struggle: his music. He poured his emotions into his songs, using his pain and fear as fuel for his artistry. And when Amy finally stood by his side again, stronger than before, he knew that every battle had been worth fighting. Vince Gill's life has been marked by extraordinary success, but behind the spotlight, he has endured unimaginable pain. His health struggles and the terrifying experience of nearly losing Amy reshaped his perspective on life, love, and resilience. And though the road has not been easy, one thing remains true. His music, just like his love, will never fade. Thanks for watching. If this shocking update on Vince Gill's devastating news grabbed your attention, be sure to like and share your thoughts below. And don't forget to click on the cards for more incredible stories you won't want to miss.